crossbow, and a lockpicking set. One of these you're allowed to sell on eBay, and the other one you're not allowed to sell. Find out which is which in this video. So I thought it would be fun today to play a little game. I'm going to show you or talk about 24 or so different items and ask you whether you are allowed to sell the item on eBay or whether you're not allowed to sell the item. And if you get it right, you get 1 point. At the end, tally up all your points and leave them in the comment section down below. I'll pick one random person and that person will win a gift card to Amazon. So let's get right into this with the first one. And by the way, you don't have to get the highest score to get the gift card. Whoever just participates will be in the entry to win the gift card. And I'll put more details about that in the description. All right, so let's move on to the first one. What do you guys think about this? Alcohol. Are you allowed to sell alcohol on eBay or not? I'll give you 2 seconds. The answer is no. Not allowed to sell alcohol on eBay. So if you guessed no, give yourself 1 point. Number 2, what about pets or other animals? Are you allowed to sell them on eBay? Give you a few seconds to think about that one. And the answer is no. No matter how annoying they are, you can't sell your pet on eBay. But what about animal pelts or animal furs? Allowed to sell those on eBay? Generally, yes, you can. However, so if you said yes, you can give yourself 1 point. But anything that's related to an endangered species, no, you're not allowed to sell those items. So no ivory and no tortoise shells, for instance, totally not allowed on eBay. Now here's something interesting. One of these items you're allowed to sell, one of them you're not allowed to sell. You answer it right, you get 1 point. The two choices are a mouse trap and a bear trap. And you guessed it, I think. The answer is you're not allowed to sell a bear trap, but you are allowed to sell a mouse trap on eBay. Now, how about a used shirt? Are you allowed to sell a used dirty shirt? 1 point if you're right. Yes, you're allowed to sell used clothing, of course. A shirt is totally fine. But what about a used pair of socks? Are you allowed to sell used socks? 3 seconds to decide for 1 point. No, you're not allowed to sell used socks or underwear on eBay. Not surprised there at all, and I don't think you guys are either. Gross. Now, what about a credit card or a debit card? Are you allowed to sell one of these on eBay? 3 seconds for 1 point. Unsurprisingly, the answer is no, but there is an exception, believe it or not. You can actually sell a credit card or a debit card as long as it has expired at least 10 years ago. Apparently, there is a huge market for people who like to actually collect credit cards and debit cards. I guess they trade them sort of like baseball cards. So if your credit card is more than 10 years expired, go ahead and try to sell it on eBay. See what happens. All right, I don't have any props for the next categories, and that's because we're talking about adult materials like toys. What do you guys think? Are you allowed to sell adult toys on eBay? Well, you can, but you need pre-approval, and obviously you can only sell it to someone who is at least 18 years or older. So I'll leave that to your discretion, whether you want to give yourself a point for that one or not, depending on how you answered it. Now, what about nudie photos? Are you allowed to sell those on eBay? You can actually, as long as they are in the adults only section. But there is one exception to that. There is one place you're allowed to sell nude photos outside of the adults only section. And if you can get this one, I'll give you 2 points. I'll give you 3 seconds to figure it out. 3, 2, 1. It's in the art section. So if you have something that's artistic, like maybe a statue of David, for instance, that you're allowed to put in the art section. It doesn't have to be in the adults only section. Now, of course, you can't abuse this. You can't put something in the adult section, sorry, in the art section that doesn't belong there. That's obviously not art. So that's just something you want to be aware of. Drug paraphernalia. What do you think? No, the answer is no. So if you got that one right, give yourself 1 point, and we'll move on to a really interesting category, and that's weapons, because some weapons are allowed and other weapons are not. So let me ask you guys this as the first question. What about airsoft guns? Do you think that airsoft guns are allowed on eBay? The answer is yes, they are allowed, but they are not allowed if they can be converted into a lethal gun. As long as they remain airsoft guns, you're fine. Now, what about replica guns that clearly have an orange marking on the barrel of it to represent the fact that it's not a real gun? Those are also allowed, but again, it has to have that orange on the end so that people know it's not real. And what about real firearms and real ammunition? No, not allowed on eBay. So if you got that one right, you can actually give yourself 2 points, one for firearms and one for ammunition as well. So where are you guys at right now? We have a few more to go here. I'm just gonna throw these ones out here. If it wasn't obvious already, no grenades, no nerve gas, no landmines, and no nuclear weapons are allowed to be sold on eBay. So I'm sorry if you're looking to dropship some nuclear bombs. It's just not going to happen. It's not allowed on eBay. But what about katanas? Those are like these swords. Do you think that katanas can be sold on eBay? Yes, they can. What about brass knuckles? No, brass knuckles you are not allowed to sell on eBay. Now, why you can sell a katana but not a brass knuckle? That one confuses me a little bit, but hey, I don't set the rules. It's eBay's rules. Now, what do you guys think about blow darts and blow guns? Are those allowed on eBay? Give you a few extra seconds to think about this one. Well, this is actually a trick question because, as the rule says, blow guns are not allowed, but blow gun darts are fine. What about crossbows? Allowed or not allowed? Actually, you're allowed to sell crossbows on eBay. So if you get that one right, make sure to give yourself a point as well. And finally, tasers. Yes or no for tasers? Answer is no. Tasers are definitely not allowed on eBay. Let's move on to the next one that I find pretty interesting, and that is lockpicking sets or lockpicking sets. What do you guys think? Does eBay allow you to sell lockpicking sets on their website? 3, 2, 1. No, not allowed. And this is because eBay in general doesn't allow you to sell anything that would promote illegal activities. Now, lockpicking sets, I feel like it's one of those gray areas, right? It could be used for good or it could be used for bad. I actually bought one when I was in college. I thought I bought it on eBay, but I guess I didn't buy it on eBay. And I just kind of was curious how they work, so I played around with them. I actually was able to open up master locks with them, which is kind of scary when you think about it. Just total amateur, bought a lockpick set offline and opened up a master lock very easily. But yep, I guess you can buy them on eBay. But what about ebooks? Are you allowed to sell them? And actually, I'll make a distinction here, and this might give it away a little bit. Are you allowed to sell ebooks that you own and have the right to sell? Yeah, the answer is yes, you're allowed to. You're not allowed to sell ones that you don't have the right to sell. And specifically, eBay says you are not allowed to sell ebooks that teach people how to make meth. Just so you know. Now, what about perishable foods like bananas or bread? What do you guys think? Are you allowed to sell these types of items on eBay? Well, yes, you are, as long as in the listing you state how the item will be delivered and when it will be delivered so that people know that they're going to get them fresh. But what about unpasteurized dairy products? Are you allowed to sell unpasteurized dairy products? That's actually soy milk, but that will be our representation. Well, the answer is no, you are not allowed to sell unpasteurized dairy products. Now, what about cold pressed juices? Do you think you're allowed to sell those? No, you're not. Same kind of thing with unpasteurized milk. You know, there's no way to really preserve it while it's in transit, so definitely not allowed to sell those on eBay as well. It's really more of a health risk than anything else. So let me give you this scenario. Let's say that you're a police officer and you quit your job or you retire from the force, and the next day you decide to take your uniform and you want to sell it on eBay. Are you allowed to do that? No, you are not allowed to do that. But you are allowed to sell uniforms under certain circumstances. So first, the uniform must be at least 10 years old. Second, the uniform must be a kind that's not currently used by other police officers. And this in general just applies for all government uniforms, or even uniforms used by UPS and FedEx and different carriers like that. So if it's not currently used by current police officers, and if it doesn't look like ones that are currently used, then you can sell it. And that makes sense because people like to sell vintage uniforms on eBay, and that's totally allowed if you meet that criteria. Now, what about human body parts, organs, things like that? Absolutely not, of course. But what about things that are made from human body parts? Are those allowed? No, of course not, you sicko. Absolutely not. There is one exception. I'll give you guys 3 seconds to think of what that exception might be. And that's if you use human hair to make a wig or a locket. I guess some people sell vintage lockets that might have someone's hair in it. You are allowed to sell those on eBay, but the hair has to come from on top of someone's head and not from anywhere else. That's what it says. What about coupons? Are you allowed to sell coupons on eBay? Yes, you are, but you can only sell up to $100 worth of coupons or 25 valid coupons per month. So if you got that one right, make sure to give yourself a point as well. Next one, prescription drugs. Yes or no? No. But what about over-the-counter drugs? Is that fine? Yeah, absolutely. Those are allowed. And let's do the last one here right now. What about services? Are you allowed to sell services on eBay? I'm talking about things like photography, home improvement, things like that. Yeah, you're allowed to sell those. Obviously, there's some types of services that are illegal, and you can't sell those ones on eBay. But the other ones that I just mentioned are fine. So that's way more than 24, but I thought those were the most interesting ones that I saw. Definitely not a comprehensive list, but I wanted to share those ones with you guys. So if you guys added up how many points that you got, make sure to leave them in the comment section underneath this video, the total number of points. I will pick one of you guys randomly, and you will get a gift card to Amazon, and you don't have to be the highest winner to get that gift card. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you had any fun while watching it, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more tips about selling on eBay. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.